What's up, guys? Red Racer video coming to you today with a special treat. Today I am driving the Tesla Model X P90D. I will admit, going into this, I did not think I was going to think this car was very cool. I am a big American muscle guy, as the owner of this car pointed out to me. But this car has absolutely blown me away. In the little bit of time that I've spent in this car, it has been a blast. It has been informative. It has really opened my eyes to the future of automobiles and where they are headed. It is crazy the amount of things this car will do. You walk up to the car, it opens the door for you, lets you in. You pull out of the garage that the car's been parked in, that you've synced up to the car, and as soon as you're far enough away, it automatically closes the garage. That is just the beginning of the cool stuff this car will do. This car drives itself, accelerates itself, it brakes itself, it changes lanes itself. So without further ado, I'll get into this. I'm going to turn this thing over. Well, you don't turn them over. I'm going to put my foot on the brake to turn the car on. Take you guys for a little Red Racer drive. All right, one thing to point out really quickly here. This car, it's almost alarming at times. You'll be driving and you forget you're driving an electric car and you think that the car has died or the car has shut itself off, which is not the case. It's always running. Another cool thing that I like about this car a lot is the ability to brake itself or to slow itself down. If you're not on the gas at all, and it knows, if you're barely touching the gas, it knows and it lets it cruise along. But if you're off the gas, 100% off the gas, the car is braking for you. It is crazy how much this car just does its own thing. Make sure that we are in ludicrous mode, and we are, and in sport mode. Bring it to a stop, go. That's nuts. That is absolutely insane. So you'll notice the only thing, and you may or may not have heard this in the car, the only thing you hear in this car is stuff flying around. And as good as you think you have stuff secured, and as much as you're convinced that things aren't going to move around, they're going to move around. It's fast. I mean, it's fast. It's all-wheel drive. The P90D, dual motor, means motor up front, motor in the back. And this thing just performs. And then, I'll be quiet for a minute. You hear nothing. I mean, it's almost completely silent. Now, while this isn't my thing, I love this car, don't get me wrong. My Camaro is loud. It starts loud. It idles loud. It accelerates deafeningly loud. Deafeningly, is that a word? It's a word. I'm making it a word. Deafeningly loud. This is completely the opposite of that. This car is just refined. It's smooth. It's quiet. It is truly impressive in every way. If there is one knock, if I have to find something that I don't love about the car, you will get a little bit of like creaking and squeaking from panels in the car or the seats that are in the car. So there are some little noises that in a gas-powered car you may not otherwise hear due to engine noise and things like that. But I mean, that's me nitpicking. That's me trying really hard to tell you something that I don't love about the car. And again, going into this, I fully expected that I was just gonna kind of find this boring and bland. So with one pull on this little stick over here near the turn signal, you're now in cruise control. You set your speed and you basically tell the car, this is the fastest I want this car to go. So right now I'm in a 45-mile-an-hour zone. I'm gonna set it at 51 miles an hour. So in this scenario, the car is at 51 miles an hour because there's nobody in front of me. You can also, on that same stick, you can choose the distance of the cars in front of you. So you can choose how far you want to be behind the cars. I've got it set to number 3, I believe. Number 4, in my opinion, was a little bit too far back. Right there, you may have felt or seen my head come forward. The car in front of me jumped on its brakes a little bit, and the car saw that and slowed me down. Never at any point right there, and I almost came to a complete stop, did I touch the gas or the brake. I haven't touched it. I'm just kind of hanging onto the steering wheel and letting this car do its thing right now. With a double pull on the joystick under the turn signal. Okay, car is driving itself. Tells you to keep your hands on the wheel, and if you don't touch the steering wheel for a certain period of time, the car will tell you, hey dummy, drive the car. So it'll remind you every now and again to touch the steering wheel, but as of right now, since I did that, haven't touched the gas, haven't touched the brake, haven't touched the steering wheel. Look, mom, no hands. This thing is freaking cool. It stays right in the middle of the lane. As cars come up on you and pass you and such, the car senses them. You can watch the screen and the car can sense where cars are. It knows cars around you. It's tracking the cars in front of me. The light up here has gone red. The car is slowing me down. The car is steering. I still haven't touched gas, still haven't touched brake, still haven't touched my steering wheel. Again, I wanted to not like this car. How do you not like that? How do you not think that that's the coolest thing ever? All right, light's gone green. Car is now accelerating on its own. The car is steering on its own. Give the steering wheel a little jiggle so it knows I'm still there. Hands back off the wheel. Car is driving itself. It's staying the exact distance behind the car in front of me that I selected. It's driving itself. I'm getting a little hot in here, so I'm going to turn on the air conditioning, which you can do from the steering wheel. I'll just set my temperature. Let's set it to, I'm going to set it to 71 degrees. Now the car will set the temperature to 71 degrees. When you get out of this car, you want to park somewhere. You get out, you press the button or just pull your handle or press the button on the dash to open your doors, and the car knows how far it can open the doors. It won't open the door and smash the car next to you, at least not in theory. I'm sure there are some people that have made it do that, but in my experience so far, it has not done that once. The back doors are like the Goldwing style doors. If they sense that you're close to something, instead of the door swinging out, the door will lift up and then swing out once it's cleared the obstacle. I truly have a hard time believing that somebody goes and drives this car and doesn't want this car right after that. I just don't see how somebody wouldn't want the vehicle. I went into it again thinking never in a million years would I want a car like this, and the car is absolutely incredible. It just changed lanes for me. All I did was hit my turn signal, and now it changed lanes. I shut the turn signal back off. It's back to following the car in front of me. And again, we picked the speed of 66 miles an hour. Right now the car in front of me is only going 54 miles an hour, so I'm going 54 miles an hour at the pre-selected distance behind the car in front of me. Another thing that I have found incredibly cool about this car is just the feature content. The screen in this thing is humongous. It does everything. I mean, you can go in, right now I'm looking at the screen that lets me decide how stiff the steering is. It lets me decide how crazy the acceleration is. It lets me decide if I want the regenerative braking just working a little bit, or if I want the regenerative braking working more. And that's what, again, when I let off the gas, it slows the car down immediately when it doesn't have cruise and autopilot on. And it's because the car is trying to regenerate the battery as much as it can. We were down shooting the Optima battery search for the ultimate street car, and on the way home in our RV, we stopped at a gas station and there was like a Burger King by it, and I looked to the side and sure enough, there is a supercharger station with like 6 or 7 Tesla chargers. I stopped to get gas in my motorhome. My kids and my wife were hungry. We went into Burger King. I got the worst fish sandwich I've ever eaten in my life. By the time we went in there, did that, kids hit the head, whatever, 35 minutes, 40 minutes goes by. And if you have a supercharger, which there was there, if I'd have plugged in for that time, the car would have been charged by the time I came out, or dang close to it. A lot of people do wire a 220 outlet in their house so they can then do quicker charges and not have to worry about that as much. Another thing to mention, I don't think people realize, and this is again just the car guy in me doing the research, yes, these cars have 0 emissions. However, these cars are very, very much still every bit as harmful to the environment as a gasoline vehicle is. If you look at the carbon footprint, so the total impact that a car will have on its environment from the time of production and so forth and so on, and the driving and all the things that it puts out in its life, these cars are still every bit as damaging to the environment. The batteries that are in these cars, they do a lot of harm in their production. How do I tactfully say this without offending people? If you're buying this car for the hippy-dippy reasons of, oh, it doesn't do anything to the environment and it keeps the air clean and it doesn't harm, you know, my surroundings, not true. It's just not true. However, when I'm driving down the road, yes, at this point of its life, this car is putting out no emissions and it is causing no harm. But to make this car, it caused its fair share of harm. Again, that's just me playing the devil's advocate and trying to look at both sides of the coin. But these are 0 emission vehicles as they cruise down the road. And this car has still been driving itself this whole time down the freeway. Just a little jiggle of the steering wheel every now and again to make sure it knows I'm there is all it takes. And I have now traveled, I've been blabbering for 5 or 10 minutes now since I got on the freeway in auto drive or autopilot. And all I've done is just wiggle the steering wheel a little bit here and there so that it knows I'm here. It's doing its thing. When you do turn the signal on, it does start hunting for a car, and if it senses that a car is there, it won't go over. I love that in my suspension screen, I can pick the vehicle's ride height. I can pick very low, in which case the car sits down. You do feel a little more of the imperfections, but you do also feel the increased stability. You do feel that the car handles better. It turns in better. It changes the way the vehicle drives. It is pretty cool. In the standard height, the car does go a little bit higher and it does ride a little softer because of that. It does feel more like what you would say a traditional SUV would feel like. I can turn on the heated seats from up here in any one of the 3 rows, and they are all heated. I can move the second row seats in the back from right here on this screen. Okay, so I don't know what happened there. There was no cars around, nothing crazy was happening, but the car did tell me that the auto steer function would be unavailable for the rest of the trip. I wasn't speeding, I was just cruising along, so I'm not sure what happened there. It may have been congestion. I am getting into a spot where there's more and more cars around, so I'm guessing that it had something to do with that, but I don't know. Again, if you want to nitpick it, it is not flawless. There are things that will come up. There are scenarios where you will have to drive your own car. I know that's tough. I know that's hard to swallow, but this car is cool. If you are considering buying one of these, if you are on the fence about buying one of these, I would very much suggest that you do it. If you have the ability or the means, and this car is on your list of cars to consider, it's hard to make an argument that you shouldn't buy this car. And in this car, you will get attention. So again, if you don't like attention, maybe this isn't the car for you. If you're going for subtle, this car is about as subtle as a sledgehammer. But if you're looking at these and you're considering these, I'm gonna say that Red Racer Video wishes I had more hands so I could give this car 4 thumbs up. Thanks for watching, guys. I appreciate your time. I know this video got a little bit long. I never intended it for it to be that long. Be sure you hit the like and the subscribe button. Red Racer Video. Check you guys later. We'll see you on the next one. Thanks again.